The OnePlus 8 Pro is arguably the phone to beat thanks to its large, beautiful display, excellent specifications, and 5G support. But it's not the only big screen phone with 5G support and a Snapdragon 865. There's also the relatively new LG V60, which may even offer a few features over the OnePlus 8 Pro. But which device is truly better? I've tested both phones and put the two head to head to find out which is worth buying. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps support my work and I would appreciate that support. The first thing to notice about these two phones is their design, and they're a little different in that respect. On the front of the V60, you'll get a small semicircle shaped notch for the front-facing camera, while the OnePlus 8 Pro has a hole punch cutout in the top left-hand corner. I much prefer the cutout, as it looks a lot more modern. Not only that, but the OnePlus 8 Pro has curved edges on the sides of the display, which looks great. That said, while the curved edges look great, OnePlus's edge detection isn't the best, and I found myself accidentally triggering the software on many occasions. The back of the phones is pretty different too, and again, I prefer the look of the OnePlus 8 Pro. On the LG V60, you'll get a horizontally aligned camera bump, while the OnePlus 8 Pro aligns its cameras vertically. They both look fine, but the camera bump on the OnePlus device is a lot thicker than the V60, and the result is that it wobbles on the desk quite a bit. The phones come in different colors too. The OnePlus 8 Pro comes in onyx black, glacial green, and ultramarine blue, while the LG V60 comes in classy blue and classy white. On the sides of the phones, there are a few different controls. The V60 has a Google Assistant button, while the OnePlus 8 Pro has a ringer switch. I would have liked both of these features on both phones, as they can seriously come in handy. But there's another feature that you'll find on the bottom of the V60, a headphone jack. That's a pretty big deal for those who want to enjoy wired music. The overall feel of the OnePlus 8 Pro in the hand is a lot nicer than the V60. It's lighter than the V60, and the materials just feel a little more premium. Generally, it looks nicer too. However, obviously the headphone jack is a nice touch, especially for certain users. The V60, however, also supports LG's dual screen accessory, and while most probably won't use that, those that do will likely appreciate having the extra space for things like gaming and multitasking. The display is pretty different between these two phones. The V60 offers a 6.8-inch POLED display with a 1080p resolution and a 60Hz refresh rate, while the OnePlus 8 Pro steps things up to a 6.78-inch display with a 1440p resolution and a hefty 120Hz refresh rate, which makes for much smoother animations. Between the higher resolution and the refresh rate, the OnePlus 8 Pro easily offers the better display experience. Plus, it can get a lot brighter too. In the display, both phones offer a fingerprint sensor, and while the OnePlus 8 Pro's is relatively fast, the LG V60 is slow and regularly didn't identify my finger. Audio quality between these two phones is pretty different. Both phones' speakers can get pretty loud, and they both offer a relatively good frequency response. However, the OnePlus 8 Pro speakers seem to be a little more midsy than those on the V60. Here's a quick comparison of the speaker quality between the two devices. Note that the real-life audio quality won't be the same as what you hear in this video, given my microphone, my room, and the speakers or headphones that you're listening through. Of course, audio quality doesn't stop at the speakers. The LG V60 also has a headphone jack with a great built-in DAC. If you're an audiophile who wants to enjoy high-end wired audio from your phone without an adapter, the V60 is really the only choice between these two. Next up is performance, and the phones are more similar than you might think. The V60 offers a Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 processor coupled with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. The OnePlus 8 Pro also has a Snapdragon 865, with either 8GB or 12GB of RAM and either 128 or 256GB of storage. I have the 8GB of RAM OnePlus 8 Pro, so the internal specs are the same as the LG V60. Benchmark results confirm that they perform pretty much the same. While the OnePlus 8 Pro got a higher score on AnTuTu, the LG V60 won on Geekbench 5. In day-to-day use, both phones offer good performance, including in mobile gaming, but if you really want the performance edge, you could spring for the 12GB of RAM OnePlus 8 Pro. While the performance between the two phones is similar, the battery is not. The OnePlus 8 Pro has a 4510mAh battery, and to be clear, it'll easily get you through a full day of use. The V60, on the other hand, steps things up to a 5000mAh battery, and thanks to the lower resolution display, it will get you through a full day of heavy use and well into the next day. My battery test involves streaming a YouTube video over Wi-Fi Wi-Fi at full brightness for 3 hours, and the results of it confirm how much better the battery is in the V60. The OnePlus 8 Pro ended the test with 73% left, while the V60 stepped things up to 81%. Both the phones also offer wireless charging, but in classic OnePlus fashion, the OnePlus 8 Pro goes a step further with OnePlus's new Warp wireless charge, though only if you use a OnePlus wireless charger. Then there's the camera, and it's another major point of difference between these two phones. The LG V60 has a triple lens camera with a 64 megapixel main sensor, a 13 megapixel ultrawide, and a 0.3 megapixel time of flight sensor. The OnePlus 8 Pro steps things up to a quad lens camera with a 48 megapixel main sensor, 8 megapixel telephoto lens, 48 megapixel ultrawide lens, and 5 megapixel depth sensor. Ultimately, the OnePlus 8 Pro camera is much more versatile, thanks to the fact that it includes a telephoto lens. Although to be fair, the V60 does offer lossless images at 2x digital zoom thanks to the 64 megapixel main sensor. In well-lit environments, both phones deliver colourful, detailed photos. But the OnePlus 8 Pros seem to offer slightly better images throughout. There isn't a huge difference in good lighting, but there is a small one. In night photos, the OnePlus device is even better, and while neither take photos that are as good as the Pixel 4 or iPhone 11 Pro, if night shots are important to you, between these two phones, the OnePlus 8 Pro is the winner. The software experience is one of the biggest points of difference for me. OnePlus has always offered a relatively stock experience with Oxygen OS, and it's even better on the 8 series thanks to the inclusion of the Google feed, replacing the OnePlus shelf. The LG V60 includes LG UX, which is unfortunately a bit of a mess. It's filled with bloatware out of the box, and it often has bugs, like, for example, the fact that it doesn't put new apps in alphabetical order when they've been sorted. You'll get used to it, but again, I much prefer the clean and smooth experience on the OnePlus 8 Pro. You can find full comparisons of LG UX and Oxygen OS with stock Android through the links in the description. Last but not least, both the OnePlus 8 Pro and the LG V60 offer 5G support. However, the OnePlus 8 Pro only supports low-band 5G. For most, it won't be a huge deal, considering the fact that 5G networks are still rolling out. But for those that really want to take advantage of 5G, it might be worth buying the LG V60 over the OnePlus 8 Pro. Ultimately, the OnePlus 8 Pro is the better phone, and if you can afford spending a little extra cash, it's the device you should go for. Sure, the battery life isn't quite as good, but it performs as well as the V60, has a more versatile camera, a better design, far better display, and a much better software experience. That said, the V60 isn't a bad phone, it just doesn't have the premium features you would expect from a phone in this price range. Thanks so much for watching, and check out the description for links to buy these two phones. Again, please subscribe to the channel if the video was helpful to you. My name is Christian, and I'll see you next time. See ya.